Welcome to this video on Mosaic version 1.1. So today I'm going to be showing you some new major features. If you haven't seen the earlier 1.0 video manual, I do recommend you go and watch that first because that will cover the basic functionality of Mosaic. Today I'm going to be running through the new features, which are live record, memory, so undo and redo, and param slides. Okay, so first of all, let's load 1.1 of Mosaic. And you'll see that I've got mostly an empty project started. There's just a few devices selected on channel 1 and channel 2. So on channel 1, it's linked to my modular, and it's currently controlling the multi-sample algorithm on a Disting EX. And on channel 2 is linked to my Digitone. So if you have seen the earlier 1.0 manual, you'll notice that that manual was recorded on a non-shield, and the non-shield only had NB devices loaded. This is my full setup. It's connected to various different hardware, Electron boxes, a Eurorack, DRM1, and so on. And so the device list here is much bigger. And all of these devices have their various CCs mapped. So in the trig locks, you'll see that there's various parameters that are controllable, and they're all named in the way that you would expect. Okay, so let's take a look at the first new feature in 1.1, and that is live record. So I have a MIDI keyboard here attached to Norns, and you'll hear that if I play a note, it passes through directly and plays the multi-sample on my EX. Now, if we hit this second button next to the stop-start button, we arm record. And then once we play, we are now live recording. So any notes that you tap in on your MIDI keyboard will be recorded as masks on the channel page of Mosaic. So let's just record something really simple. And you can hear it's looping. Now, I wasn't really happy with that recording. This note here was an accident, and this one doesn't sound as nice as I would have hoped. So what we can do now is navigate to the second new feature that I will cover, and that is memory. So Mosaic will now remember any mask or trig lock actions, including those that are live recorded, and it will allow you to scroll backwards and forwards through time. So these little note icons represent a note mask, and the dots represent the length being applied to that mask. And you can scroll through these individually. So I don't like these last two. No, I don't like that either. My timing's not particularly good, but with the undo function, it's not a problem. Okay, there we go. Now, of course, once you've recorded live, you can stop recording and then you can apply all of the fantastic masks and locks that we covered in the earlier manual. So here I've got I've set a global chord mask, so every note is also firing a fifth. And then I have applied a strum so that that fifth plays 8 steps after the original step was triggered. And of course, if I wanted to now add more, I can do that. And everything is still in memory, so I can scroll live whilst it's playing to alter what is being played live. Now, with live record, what I can also do is shorten my sequence, and then recording will only affect this part of the sequence. So I can undo. And then I can extend back out, and you'll see that I've only modified this part of the pattern. Okay, let's just undo that to make sure that the pattern's sparse. And we'll just mute this channel for now. New in 1.1, the Shift key has changed to key 1. Okay, let's move over to our Digitone patch. Just this soft lead, and we will record something very basic in. Okay. So, also new in 1.1 are param slides, which is a concept you may be familiar with from Electron boxes, although they don't really implement param slides anymore. But if you've ever had a mono machine or a machine drum, param slides used to be a very helpful function. So what you can do is set a param lock on one step, and then another param lock on another step, and you'll hear that it is quickly affecting this step and then resetting back to the default value when it hits another step. But if I wanted to slide from this value to this value, what I can do is hold the desired step that you want to slide from, press K3 to activate param slide, and then if you look on the Digitone, you can see that it's sliding from here to here. the frequency function on the Digitone happens to be high resolution MIDI. So you'll notice that it's relatively smooth in terms of how it's sliding in MIDI terms. Obviously, there is a bit of aliasing there, but it's pretty good for things like filter frequencies. Okay, let's just clear these trig locks by holding Shift and pressing K2. And we'll also turn off slides there. So what we can also do, of course, new in 1.1, is record our trig locks in live. So let's do that for filter frequency. Now you'll see that because I currently have trigless locks enabled in the settings, every step where I altered the value of the filter now has a trig lock on it. And so Mosaic was live recording and capturing the value when it hit the step, recording it directly in. When you have live record armed and you alter a param, it will start recording that param from the step when you first altered it all the way until the end of the current length of this channel. And then once it progresses back to the start, it will stop recording until it gets input again. This allows you to record without immediately over recording what you've just done. So we can see here on the Digitone, we've got the filter moving based on my live record, but it's a bit steppy, of course, because it's recording the value at each step. What we can do now is apply param slides globally. So let's just take a look at how steppy it is. You can see it's mostly moving at a resolution of 128. But if I enable param slides globally, this enables it for every step, and you'll see that the changes are now fractional. So it smooths out every step. Of course, there are some big jumps where it can only do so much smoothing. But in general, it'll give you a relatively low alias progression of the trig param. Okay. Just turn that off and clear the locks. Okay, the last big feature in 1.1 is the ability to map a controller to the channel controls. So to do this, we go into the Norns edit menu and we scroll down to a special set of Norns params for Mosaic, known as MIDI map. So it's possible to map the controls on the trig lock page, the mask page, and you can also map the memory traversal as well. So let's just wipe this memory and pull the notes back in, but not the params. So, okay, let's say we want to control the trig mask from our controller here. First, we find the relevant param with the right label, so the trig mask, and then we hold K1 and press K3 to get into the MIDI mapping setting page. Press K3, and here we can set up our individual control. So press K3 to learn, move your desired control on your controller, And then you need to set in to 1 and 2. And then make sure accumulation is set to yes. Now your MIDI device needs to support bin offsets for this to work. Okay, let's just save this and have a look. So now you can see I can control the trig masks from my controller. So I actually have everything set up here. So this controller is controlling all the controls in Mosaic. And the memory as well. So I can scroll through it. Let's go through the memory as such. Now, these initial options at the top of the map pages allow you to control the controls for the selected channel. So you navigate through the channel and you can control that page's controls using your controller. Can I say controller anymore? But you can also, if you prefer, control individual channels. So you don't have to be on the channel page to control. This is useful if you have a performance, for example, and you want to control a filter whilst you're navigating across different channels. So you can control each individually. Just note that you won't actually be able to see the control whilst you are modifying that value. Yeah, and you can see you can do the same for trig params, and you'll see that I've got mine configured to this controller for the selected channel pages rather than for specific channels. Okay, that's it for this video on 1.1. I hope you have a great time with the looper and the recorder and the memory functions. I think it's super powerful. If you've got any questions, please head over to the Lines thread. Happy to answer, happy to help. Obviously, if you find any bugs, please direct message me as well. I'll get on those as soon as I can. Thank you very much. Have a fantastic day.